Ready for some Emacs and C fun tonight. Happy Monday, everybody. Yes, sir. Starting soon. Let's continue with our C programming. All right. All right, everybody. Welcome to today's stream. I hope everybody had a good evening. Hope you all had a good weekend. Let's get some music going. Hope you were safe with all the weather. What are we going to do today? Well, let's jump into it. So let's make sure the mic's up. And we'll make sure the sound is turned down a little bit. Let me know if the mic's too loud. What have I done this weekend? Not a whole lot of programming stuff. Did some more C programming courseware on a paid-for course, so I can't share that on the stream. We're going to continue in Beej's guide today. I did update my green screen a little bit, did a little bit of optimizations with the camera, so hopefully I look a little bit better. Please let me know in the comments if that worked. But having said that, let's go ahead and jump into the main stream. First thing I want to bring up is we are at 98 subscribers now. 2 more. We're looking for 2 more. And then I think I've been thinking about it. What I'm going to do when we hit that 100 subscriber, I'm going to do a stream special. And I might pick Python. Kind of really just depends. I might pick JavaScript. It's unlikely I'll pick C, but I'm going to do a stream and I'm going to do a cool little Flash graphics program through the stream and until it gets done. So if it takes an hour, great. If it takes longer than that, we're just going to get through it. So really looking forward to that. Need 2 more subscribers and then we can start with that. So let's just continue on where we are with Beej's guide. Looking at the items that were not part of the restricted keywords for C89's keywords. So if we remember, we did look at this. So it looks like C99. So we're back to the guide here, and we looked at const and pointers. This one gets a little funky because there are 2 usages that have the similar meaning. Let's turn down the audio just a little bit, right about there. Okay, I don't want to be speaking over the audio, so let's see how I sound in that. Testing. Okay, yep, that's good. All right, so this one gets a little funky because there are 2 usages that have 2 meanings when it comes to pointers. There is the, let me put my chat on top so I can see if anyone chats. There is the, oh, I'm in the wrong view. I apologize. Let me go back to main. Boom. Sorry about that. Okay, constant pointers. This one gets a little funky because there are 2 usages that have 2 meanings when it comes to pointers. For one thing, we can make it so you can't change the thing the pointer points to. You do this by putting the const up front with the type name before the asterisk in the type declaration. So int x array 1020, so that's an array of 2. Const int p equals x. We cannot modify p. We can modify p, no problem. Pointer p equals 30, compiler error. We can't change what it points to. But we can modify it, so we can push the pointer, but we can't change what it points to. We can move the pointer along, but we can't change what it points to. Somewhat confusing. These 2 things are equivalent. Const int p can't modify what p points to. Int const p can't modify what p points to, just like the previous line. Great. So we can't change the thing the pointer points to, but we can change the pointer itself. What if we went the other way around? We want to be able to change what the pointer points to, but not the pointer itself. Just move the const after the asterisk in the declaration. So constant pointer p, we can't modify p with pointer arithmetic. P++ compiler error. But we can modify what they point to. Int x equals 10, int const p equals the address of x. Point p equals 20, set x to 20, no problem. You can also make both things constant. const int p can't modify p or what it points to. So int const p means we can't modify. Finally, if you have multiple levels of indirection, you should const the appropriate levels. Just because a pointer is const doesn't mean the pointer it points to must also be. You can explicitly set them like in the following example. Char, pointer to pointer p, p++ OK, dereference of p++, that's okay. Char, pointer, constant pointer to a pointer, p++ air, dereference it and moving the pointer, okay. Char constant p++ okay, dereferencing moving the pointer, air. Okay, so this whole constant pointers thing, this seems a bit complicated. I'm going to have to see that in some more examples at a later time. Const correctiveness. One more thing I have to mention is that the compiler will warn on something like this. Const int x equals 20, int p equals and x, saying something to the effect of initialization discards const quantifier from point type target. Compiler will warn about something like this. Const int x equals 20, int pointer equals the address of x, saying something in effect of initialization discards const quantifier from pointer type target. What's happening there? Well, we need to look at the types on either side of the assignment. Const int x equals 20, int pointer p equals the address of x. So int star equals the constant int. The compiler is warning us that the value on the right side of the assignment is const, but the one of the left is not. Hello, Roger Brown. How are you this evening, afternoon? The compiler is warning us that the value on the right side of the assignment is const, but the one on the left is not, and the compiler is letting us know that it is discarding the constness of the expression on the right. That is, we can still try to do the following, but it's just wrong. The compiler will warn and it's undefined behavior. Const int x equals 20. We can't change x, but int pointer p points to the address at x, and the dereference of the value of pointer p, so that memory location we could change to 40 because it's undefined behavior. Maybe it modifies x, maybe not. Print 40 if you're lucky. Ah, okay. Interesting. Do you play Turtle WoW? I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. Turtle, the programming like language? Like with Python, like turtle? Like getting a turtle and like moving it in directions and stuff like that? Is that what you mean? So restrict we're skipping because I don't use it. I'm only going to be using C89 for right now, and restrict is a C99. So I think if I even typed it in, let me see. I think if I typed it in because of my compiler settings, it's going to bark at me. You never have to use this, and you can ignore it every time you see it. Okay, cool. So I'm ignoring it for right now. Well, let's read over it quickly, see what it does. So the TLDR is you don't have to use it, and you can ignore it every time you see it. If you use it correctly, you will likely realize some performance gain. If you use it incorrectly, you will realize undefined behavior. Restrict is a hint to the compiler that a particular piece of memory will only be accessed by one pointer and never another. Oh, it was. Oh, is that because of my my profile is from WoW? It's me and my best friend. We used to play on some servers, and we're both Taurans. We decided to sit on a bench next to each other. Here, if you see, it's me and my friend. We're sitting on a bench next to each other. I can't even view it. Okay, dang it, I can't even view it. I wonder if I zoom in here. No, it doesn't really zoom it keeps on resetting it. Yeah. So you can't even view it. That sucks. But if you can see there, it is it's 2 torrents on a bench. Yeah, algorithm. Well, what character, what kind of tune do you play? I haven't played in a very long time. Might get back into it, but yeah, this is kind of strictly a programming and streaming channel now. Turtle WoW videos. That is weird. The algorithm would have been very weird. Thanks for stopping by in any case. So basically you're telling, hey, I guarantee this one single pointer is the only way I can access this memory, and if I'm lying, you can pull undefined behavior on me. And C uses that information to perform certain optimizations. For instance, if you're dereferencing the restrict pointer repeatedly. Okay, so maybe at some point I'll look at that. Now volatile, you're unlikely to see or need this. I strictly play classic private servers now. Oh, so there's private servers where you could start at like before what was it? Cataclysm and stuff like that. So it's before you could, there's servers that you could start like before Cataclysm and do like classic before the world was destroyed and things like that. I am reading a C programming manual. How's the sound? Hopefully the music isn't too loud. You're likely to see or need this. You're unlikely to see or need this unless you're dealing with hardware directly. Okay, so is it available? Volatile is available, so we're going to read about it, but just kind of skim over it. You're unlikely to see or need this unless you're dealing with hardware directly. Volatile tells the compiler that a value might change behind its back and should be looked up every time. An example might be where the compiler is looking in memory at an address that continuously updates behind the scenes. Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool. I would definitely be interested in that. I think my friend would be as well. If the compiler decides to optimize that. Because I like playing, not exactly role-playing, but I like playing through the original, like, classic WoW storyline. Like, I like playing through the missions, and I'll grind, you know, to level up, but I'm going to play kind of through the missions as well. Like, if I get sent to an area and I do a mission and it sends me back to another area, I'm not going to stay in that area just to grind and look for more missions. I kind of want to play the whole storyline. Great question, Roger. Yes, I'm going to build something by learning this. I'm a software engineer. I've been a software engineer for quite a long time. Just never really messed with low-level programming. So this is my journey into low-level programming. I thought I'd stream it, and you know, kind of helps with the motivation of doing it, and then just kind of having fun. Do you program at all? You're unlikely to see or need this unless you're dealing with hardware directly. Volatile tells the compiler that a value might change behind its back and should be looked up every time. An example might be where the compiler is looking in memory at an address that continuously updates behind the scene. If the compiler decides to optimize that and store the value in a register for a protracted time, the value in memory will update and won't be reflected in the register. By declaring something volatile, you're telling the compiler, hey, the thing that this points to might change at any time for reasons outside this program code. Okay, yeah. So it's that the hardware, something else could change the hardware register. Okay. Atomic, this is an optional C feature we'll talk about in the atomics chapter, and we won't talk about it because it's C11. Storage class specifiers. Storage class specifiers are similar to type quantifiers. They give the compiler more information about the type of a variable. Auto. Let's go look to see if that's part of, auto is part, okay. Oh, well, thank you for your subscription. That's probably going to put, let me see, does that put us at 99? Are we the 99th? Yes, Roger, you put us at 99. Only one away from 100. Thank you for stopping by. And when I hit 100, just as I said in the opening, what I'm going to do is I'll use Python or JavaScript. I might use C, but I want to make like a cool like graphical like splash screen that just celebrates that and shows people how to like build something end to end. So I'm going to do one stream. It might take an hour. It might take a couple, but we're going to build end to end from scratch a cool little like animation graphic. You barely ever see this keyword since auto is the default for block scope variables. It's implied. Ah, okay. The auto keyword indicates that the object has automatic storage duration. That is, it exists in the scope in which it's defined, and it's automatically deallocated when the scope is exited. One gotcha about automatic variables is that their value is indeterminate until you explicitly initialize them. We say they're full of random or garbage data, though neither of those really makes me happy. In any case, you won't know what's in it unless you initialize it. Always initialize all automatic variables before use. But when would we use them? Oh, you barely ever see it since it's the block level. It's default by block. So, for instance, if we go back into the terminal here, in this, or in Emacs, in this read line here, this offset here, that is by default, it's an auto variable to this function, this readline function, from what they're saying. So that variable is only going to be the lifetime of it is in that offset when that function comes out of scope. So that's an excellent question, Roger. He says, if you don't understand anything, do you ask ChatGPT to explain it? I do typically, but in this channel, in this stream, I want to show those that how to look at the documentation, how to look in other means before going to AI to get like a base level and then using AI. So I do use AI in my day-to-day job a lot, and I do use AI for learning stuff, but they call them neckbeards or the bearded, the old, the guys back in the 80s and 70s and 60s that did all of these amazing things that built the foundation for everything that we do computing, and they didn't have AI, and yet they were able to figure out some very complicated things, and they were able to do the stuff that builds upon everything we do now. They didn't have Stack Overflow. They had manuals. So initially what I would do is I would probably open my terminal if I didn't understand that, and I would see if there was, or I would look in maybe a news group. I would see, do we even have anything for auto in there? I might even say, hey, is there a manual for auto? There is no manual entry for auto. So what I would do in this sense, if I wasn't happy with Beej's guide, I would go to the GNU C Programming reference, and I would look at keywords. These are the keywords, and I would probably go, let's go back up to the index, and let's see if I have auto. Here we go. And then it's a storage class identifier. So I would look at what the GNU, because this is the old beards I was talking about. These are the guys that wrote the original documentation back in the 80s and 70s. So I would look at that, and I would see what it is. Now, I did use the web to go and look at that, right? But you said you wouldn't use the web or Stack Overflow. Okay. This is also available in what's called an info manual inside. If you have the info manual inside of your inside of your system in Linux. So if we look at the prefix here, this is a reference for the manual for the manual for C programming language implemented by the GNU compiler. This manual describes C89 as its baseline. And the manual, GNU C manual, I believe it's installed. If I go to here and let me see if I have anything. GNU organization, GNU utilities. Let me see, programming. I have to see, how do I make sure that, that's a good question. How can I make sure that that GNU C manual, reference manual is in my info files? Because I'm pretty sure you can do that. I'd have to see, how do I search what's in info? Search, index, go to the node pointed by index entry string. Yeah, but I don't know if there's an index entry for that. So, app show GNU C glibc. Let me actually go here. The GNU reference manual is now, which includes, if you don't like building a manual from text info, you can also read the manual strictly if it aims to cover unlinked but not library. The manual will probably not make a good introductory book for new programmers. How do I get the release of the manual is now available, which includes a number of corrections suggested by readers. If you don't feel like building in the manual from text info source, you can also read an HTML version or PDF version online. So do you get, so okay, you could build it from the text info and then you would build it into an info file, but I don't think it's, I don't know if there's a Debian package for it. Debian GNU C manual package. I don't know if there is. I would have to search for that. Oh yeah, there is. Yeah. Okay, so there is a manual for it, so you could install the manual and then you would have it offline. Okay, so we got auto. We're looking at the static. Static keyword has two meanings. I think static keyword has three meanings from what Casey Moratori was saying once. This keyword has two meanings depending on if the variable is file scope or block scope. Let's start with block scope. Static and block scope. In this case, we're basically saying I just want a single instance of this variable to exist shared between calls. That is, its value will persist between calls. Static and block scope with an initializer will only be initialized one time on program startup, not each time the function is called. Let's do an example. Let us do an example. We're to the example time of our show, folks. So we're doing, what was this? Types and quantifiers and and we want to do main.c. Okay, so we'll need to include our standard IO, right? And we'll do a typical function here. Let's return 0. And we'll just print hello world so we know everything is working out. Oh, and look what I did not forget. Again, folks, I did not forget my new line, which is sometimes not typical for me. We'll create a make file, and in the make file, we of course want our C flags to be, give me all the warnings, all warnings, extra warnings. I want the standard to be C89, and I want it to be pedantic. Sometimes I spell that wrong. And we want the debug outputs. And then main obviously depends on main.c. And what we're going to do is call GCC, passing in our C flags, and main to output main.c. So given that, we should go back to the file, and we should be able to compile this file with just make, right? Can't find main. Did main not type? Why can't you find main? I keep on making this error sometimes in my make file. Main, main.c goes out to main. That's what it was. See, I was just testing you to make sure you guys were paying attention. There we go. Okay, so now we got the file. Now we could go back here to types, and then we can execute it, and it'll say hello world. Yay! Okay, so then let's do this example that they're saying. We're gonna make a static int variable count, and then I don't do, because C99 I can't do the initialization. With C89 it's discouraged to do the initialization and the variable on the same form. And then we can print it out as they're doing there. Let's just grab all this stuff here and cut it. And hello world. This has been called some amount of times. %d for an integer. Whoops. Whoa. I don't know what that keystroke was. And then times, and then put our new line back in, and then we're going to say count. Okay. So this has been called count times. Then we do count plus plus. So we're going to increment the count. Oh, and this is a function. Oh, this is a new function. Ah, I didn't even see that until just now. My apologies. So we'll go put it in its own function. Void. It doesn't return anything. Takes in void. Right? And then there's the function. Since it doesn't return anything, I probably shouldn't have a return on there. Now in the main is where we're going to call it, right? So we're going to say counter that many times, and control C, control CD, control CD, control CD, 4 times. So this has been called. So we're expecting the output at the very end that this has been called 4 times. It's going to output all of them, but we should expect that it gets called 4 times. Let's clean up our buffer. Let's save our buffer, and we can recompile. Compilation was successful. We'll go back to the terminal, run it again. This has been called one time, one time, one time. So what was wrong here? This did not do what we wanted it to do. Static int count. This is initialized 1 time. Is it because I didn't do the initialization on the same file? But I can't do int count. Oh, when it is static, you do have to initialize it, I suppose. Okay. Oh, so that is, but that's still going to pass the pedanticness of C89? Meta n, oh, that's undefined, really? I thought it wasn't. Okay. Compilation finished. We'll try it again. There we go. Okay. Okay. So yes. So what that means is that if it's a static, since it's only going to be initialized once, okay. Because I'm doing the C89, I'm trying to be pedantic and stuff. But if I had done, so say I had int d here, and then I int d equals 10, right? Every time this runs, it would initialize int d, and it could be a new garbage value. And then I set I'm sorry. Let me back up for a minute. I shouldn't have then I set d to 10. But since we're saying static int count is 1, the first time that function runs, it initializes that counter variable to be scoped level to that function, and then I could call counter as many times as I want, and it's just going to increment that existing counter variable. So it's almost like an object. Almost like an object, because it has behavior and data encapsulated, right? So it kind of allows you to encapsulate, in my opinion. I don't know. I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking from object-oriented programming. You guys have to tell me if I'm completely out of my mind, but it seems to be that way. Okay, so back to what we were doing. See how the value of count persists. One thing of note is that static block variables are initialized to 0 by default. Default starting value is 0, so the 0 assignment is redundant. Finally, be advised that if you're writing multi-threaded programs, you have to be sure you don't let multiple threads trample the same variable. Right. Oh, wait, default starting variable is 0. Okay, let me try something. What if I had, so let me comment that out for a minute. What if I had static int count, static count equals 10 here? No, because I've reinitialized it. Count equals 10. Yeah, it's still not gonna. I think it's still not going to iterate or increment it though. Yeah, it's just gonna stay the same. So I was right when I'm saying that you do have to. It's about the fact that it's a static initialized variable. Static and file scope. When you get out to file scope outside any blocks, the meaning rather changes. Variables at file scope already persist between function calls, so that behavior is already there. Instead, what static means in this context is that this variable isn't visible outside of this particular source file, kind of like global, but only in this file. More on that in the section about building with multiple source files. Well, I mean, we could just do it, right? I could just... Variables defined at file scope already persist between, so the behavior is already there. Instead, what static means in this context is this variable isn't visible outside of this particular source file. Oh, so when I do static at this level, if I did static count at this level, or whatever, then it would only be available in that file. That's very cool. Okay. I wasn't aware of that. Extern. The extern storage class specifier gives us a way to refer to objects in other source files. Let's say, for example, the file bar.c had the following as its entirety. Bar C int a equals 37. Just that, declaring a new int a in file scope. But what if we had another source file, foo.c, and we wanted to refer to that a that's in bar C? It's easy with the extern keyword. Okay, is it? Is it easy with the extern keyword? So let's do foo.c, and we're gonna say int a equals, I'm gonna do 44 because I just turned 44, and why not? And actually I can't do that because I'm C89, so I'm gonna say int a equals sorry, a equals 37. Okay, and then I'm gonna save this file. And then why is it mad at me? And then I am going to go back to the previous one, and we're going to say that we're allowed to go up here and say that extern int a. Okay, and oh, let's see. So we could go here and say printf before mutation. So yes, I believe it is. I think that I've well, in the Army we had a saying, see one, do one, teach one. I think it's in medical as well. But because when you're teaching or when I'm showing someone how to do something, it's almost like immediate active recall. So I'm not so much trying to teach on this stream as I'm learning it as well and kind of like discovering stuff as well. But if I'm able to teach stuff that I've learned over my years of programming, I can like stick it in here and there, then yeah, I think that is a good way, because what it does is it solidifies the kind of what do they call those in memory, those adhesions, those cohesions between your dendrites and your axions, dendrites and axia, dendrites and axons, yes, dendrites and axons, those things, those the neurons, these things, the connections. So it helps strengthen the connection between those if you continuously like recall that information. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so back where we were, we say before I aggressively mutate the extern, its value is that, and then afterwards I'm gonna mutate it to 99, And then I'm going to printf and say, after I mutate the extern, the different value now, right? And what did we forget? We forgot the flippin' new lines here. Yes, we did. Okay. So, control save. Now, I don't think this is going to compile. Right, it's not going to compile because relocation against A and read-only section.txt. What? Temp, in function main, undefined reference to A. Undefined LD returned one exit warning, create blah, blah, blah. Okay, so... how to functions, so it's redundant. How do I get the extern to work? Now we're gonna have to go off on a tangent here. Before I aggressively mutate to extern, we're gonna have to go off on a tangent because maybe in my make file, that's where I need to change it. So I say make file depends on main and foo.c. Right? Does that then allow me to do it? Recompile? No. Undefined reference to A. Do I have to link it? I gotta link it. Oh, I do take notes. I take notes. Notes. Where are the notes? Org notes. Oh, I don't have any on here. I do take notes, but and I draw things too. So we have journal. So sometimes I'll draw stuff on the screen. So there's my journal. Sorry about it's bright. I have to change the thing sometimes with it. So if I look at the recents, I got some stuff here. So I take notes. This is some notes on like memory stacks and things. I'm not today. I'm a little tired. It was a long Monday. But because I understand that stuff. And I didn't think I needed to draw it out. If there's questions, feel free to ask me, and I'll grab my pen and try to draw out some understanding of stuff. We could have also made the extern int A in block scope, and it still would have referenced it. Now, if A in bar.c had been marked static, this wouldn't have worked. Static variables at file scope are not visible outside that file. Final note about for functions X, so it's redundant. You can register. So I think he's going to be talking about extern in the next. But let me try to figure it out. So what I'm thinking is, if I go back to the make file, let me actually remove foo here, and let's say that main depends on main.c and it outputs main, and we'll say, okay, here I have an idea. Let's say that foo depends on foo.c. It calls GCC as well with the C flags. And it makes foo.c, outputs foo. And then I have another recipe that's called program, which depends on main and foo, and it calls GCC, and it calls GCC. What does it do? How do I call multiple? It calls GCC on main and foo and outs program. I don't know. I mean, the way to test stuff out is just to try it out. Let's see. That's probably gonna die horribly. Okay. Oh, because main.c actually defended on it as well. I'm not gonna spend very much more on. Okay, so main and foo, and that only depends on main then. Okay, so it depends on main and foo. I don't, or is it linking? I don't know. That's why. Okay. Have fun. Thank you for stopping by. Hope to see you at a later stream. Data definition has no type or storage class. It doesn't have a type? I thought it had a type. I made it as type. Int A. So, did it work? Let's see if it worked. I mean, program. What is in here? Main.c, make file. So it didn't... Oh, I didn't output program. Compile program. Okay, here we go. So make program. Warning, data definition has no file. Collect error, LD... Warning, type defaults to int in declaration of A. Yeah, that's what I want. Okay, so did it work this time? So I have a foo and a main.c. You could declare function stat. Okay, so you can have static level functions too that are only in the single source file. Okay. Register, is that also part of... Yep, that's part of the original. So I want to make a note that we need to come back to revisit this. Do your kids know how to code too? My one kid is a mechanical engineering student in college. He's a sophomore, and he does know how to code. He's taken like engineering coding course. I mean, I gotta say, in college though, it's not, you're not producing huge projects, cool projects and stuff though. But yeah, they know how to code. And then my I have another son, and he dabbles a little bit in coding here and there. He needs to do better in it, speaking to you, but a little bit. But obviously, I don't know how to code because I can't get this to. I don't want to look up. I don't want to look up the documentation for it quite yet because I feel like he's going to go into it in the very matter of fact. If I go to the contents here, I think 17, which is where we're going next. Come on, Beej. What happened to your... What happened? Oh no, his site's not loading. That would be horrible if, like, it just lost connection. Let me do a test of my speed. What is my speed right now, folks? Oh, wow. Oh, shoot. What is my connection right now? Am I losing you guys? Stream health? Stream is healthy. We're having trouble finding that site. What is going on with my internet? Why, I might lose you, chat. am I still connected? Tell me if I'm still connected. Because I don't, wait a sec, can I, what, IP address show? Actually, I don't want to show that off there. Ping 8.8.8. Yeah. Okay, so I'm getting a ping. I'm getting a ping. So what is going on with my DNS? Let me look at something. Let me ping my DNS server. 68.1.253. Yeah, and I'm getting a ping from the DNS. All right, let me try again then. What? That was weird. I'm not getting no outside internet. Yeah, it says no internet. Okay, there we go. What was that? That was weird. That was really weird. Okay. Well, in any case, it's working now. So what I was saying is that the... Sorry about that small diversion there. What I was saying is that... Excuse me. Pardon me. I believe 16 is... Yeah, see, 16 is multi-file project. So, I'm sorry, 17. And we're in 16, and we were just looking at extern right now. And there's only 2 more things. Register. It should be made as fast as possible. No immigration to agree to it. They don't use this anymore because compilers don't really care what you say. Thread local. I don't know if that is part of C89 variables. It is not, and it's been deprecated in C23 when you were using multiple threads. So is C at all threaded in the original C? How did you... I wonder how you did multi-threading in C89. That's interesting. Oh, thread no, that's C23. Well, because multi-threading program has been very interesting. Huh, okay. So we could just skip right to 17 then, in that case. Let me check the health of the stream again, because that was crazy. We lost it for a little bit there. Back, okay. Got 0 views because it probably dropped. Yeah. So you guys probably lost me for a minute there. I do apologize for the stream going out. I will try to see if I can fix that in post-processing. Don't count on it though. I'm still learning all this streamy stuff. All this streamy, dreamy stuff. Okay, so let's go to the next one. And we're going to just park this one for now, and then we'll look at it at a later time. Okay, so let's see. Where are multi? So far we've been looking at toy programs that for the most part fit in a single file, but complex C programs excuse me, I'm thirsty. So far we've been looking at toy programs that for the most part fit into a single file, but complex C programs are made up of many files that are all compiled and linked together into a single executable. In this chapter, we'll check out some of the common patterns and practices for putting together larger projects. Include and function prototypes. A really common situation is that some of your functions are defined in one file and you want to call them from another. This actually works out of the box with a warning. Let's first try it and then look at the right way to fix the warning. For these examples, we'll put the file name as the first comment in the source. To compile them, you'll need to specify all the sources on the command line. Output files, source files. Okay. All right, so we can actually go back to that then. Types. Type. I can't spell. If I could though, I would be able to say types. Okay, so we'll go back to the main file. We still have that in there, the extern. Let's go back to the make file. And then we can pretty much just Alright, we're gonna say that foo, whenever foo changes, we'd want to recompile it. Okay, and main depends on foo. And GCC out. Okay. Go back there, kill that. So we would say we need foo out. Our main, which needs foo, and it needs main.c. Okay. And then I'm just going to remove program because we don't need that now. So let's go back to main now and see if we compile with make main. It did not like that, but let's see what's in. No, it doesn't output main. Let me just do. Why doesn't it output main? Compile. Foo.c, collect main, make file, 7 error. Oh. Foo.c. Okay, try that. Compile. Undefined reference to main. Where? Undefined reference to main. Foo. In that example, foo and bar get built in the executable named foo. Let me just, without having multiple recipes for now, because that's not, I'm not able to get that work for some reason. So main foo.c. Main takes in foo.c and main.c. Okay. Whoa. Why would it do that? And then compile. There we go. So now, do we have it at least now? No. What? Error. Type defaults to int in declaration of A. Okay. That's okay. Type defaults to int in declaration of A. Are you just wanting me to do like that then? That doesn't make any sense because because there's no block. So why did that work? Now we have main, yeah. So yeah, after I mutate 99. Okay. So the make file, so I could had it there. Whoops. And then just done foo. We're gonna try it. Say foo, and foo depends on foo.c. I don't know why I always forget the C. And with GCC it. C flags, not lags. Shoot. Minus O foo, foo.c. C flags. Okay. Now let's compile again. No. So it is something to do with the recipe. Maybe I have to link it. Okay, I have to learn more about it here in a minute. Okay. In that example, so let's take a look at the source file bar.c. File int add. And the file foo.c with main in it. Include standard input int main. See how from main we call add, but add is in a completely different source file. It's in bar c while the call to it is in foo.c. If we build this with implicit declaration of function add is invalid in C99. Or you might get a warning which you should not ignore. Never ignore warnings in C, address them all. If you recall from the section on prototypes, implicit declarations are banned in modern C. Prototypes. Did the internet go down again? What is going on? Why is my wife... Hold on one second, because I think it's down again. Yeah. Yeah, it's down again. So I might have a connection to you still, but I don't have DNS. It's not resolving DNS. So let me look at something real quick here. 168.1.253. Admin. The load. That's been the load. That's all huge load. Why is the load that high? I'm going to have to analyze this later, but that's a very large load. What, oh, let me look at the dashboard. What is the queries? What's going on right now? Bum, bum, bum. Sorry for this slight. Why is the load so high? Is OBS, I have to look into this. Maybe OBS is sending out stuff like that. I'll have to look into that at a later time. But it's really slowing down my stream. Very interesting. Huh. So if you recall back in Ice Age, I mentioned you had a defined function. This isn't, yeah, prototypes, function prototypes. Yep. This is the prototype. Okay. If you recall from section of function prototypes, implicit declarations are banned in modern C and there's no legitimate reason to introduce them into new code. We should fix it. What implicit declarations mean is that we're using a function, namely add in this case, without letting C know anything about it ahead of time. C wants to know what it returns, what type it takes as arguments, and things such as that. We saw how to fix that earlier with a function prototype. Indeed, if we add one of those to foo.c before we make the call, everything works well. No more error, but that's a pain. Needing to type in the prototype every time you want to use a function. I mean, we used printf right there and didn't need to type in a prototype. What gives? If you remember from way back with hello C at the beginning of the book, we actually did include the prototype for printf. It's in the file standard sdio.h, and we include that with include. Can we do the same with our add function, make a prototype for it and put it in a header file? Sure. Header files in C have a .h extension by default, and they often, but not always, have the same name as their corresponding .c file. So let's make a bar.h file for our bar.c file, and we'll stick the prototype in it. Yeah, I want to do that. Let me do that today, and then we'll be done with the we'll call it multi-files, and we'll say main.c is our main file. Okay, and we're going to include, as always, standard input.h. We'll do int main void return 0 and printf hello world, right? And then we're going to just use compile on here for right now because I can't be bothered. So gcc out main.c. Okay, so that worked. So we'll go back to multi-files, look at what we got here, and main hello world. Okay, so back into here, we want to start another file, and we're calling it bar.h. And in bar.h, that is just the prototype for the function. I'm going to add a comment because why not? This adds 2 integers because I want to get in the habit of adding comments. Save, and then we want to add now a foo.c that implements the function int a, int b, right? Return a plus b. Now let's modify to include that file, assuming it's in the same directory. We don't have the prototype. We include it now. File, you can just include bar to get it. Include literally. But wait a second. Hold on. Bar.h declares the prototype. So I have that here. Well, kind of like interfaces is what we call it in programming, but I don't know if it's don't quote me on if that's directly correlated or anything like that, because I really don't think it is. Okay, but we've included the header file, and they're often always have the same name as their corresponding .c file. So let's make a bar.h file for our bar.c file, and we'll stick the prototype in it. And now let's modify foo.c to include that file, assuming it's in the same directory Oh, okay. So you want to... No. Notice that we don't have the prototype in foo.c anymore. We include it from bar.h. Now, any file that wants that add can just include to get it, and you don't need to worry about typing in the function. Where did we to find the add? Bar.c. Yeah. Okay. So foo.c is what I said. Okay, so then we go back to main, and we're going to include now bar.h. This gives us our function. Int result equals add 21 and 20. Printf, the best number in the world. Okay, so save it and then compile. And that should be good. No such file or directory bar.h. What did I name it then? What did I name it? What did I name it, huh? I named it... Yeah, bar.h. Is it not saved? But where is it saved at? There's bar.h. So why? Oh, it's because it's not. Yeah, it's not part of a lib or whatever the brackets indicate. That makes sense. That makes sense. So I need to go up there and just delete those brackets. And in there, I'll put it like that. Okay, now compile again. In function main, undefined reference to add. Why? I included bar.h. Is it... Why? Compile. Main.c. Oh, because I also need foo.c for that one. Fatal error. Input file main is the same as output file. You're the same as output file. Main.c. There we go. Okay. So now let's look at our main. Hello world, the best number in the world is 42. But I made an error. I made an error. I am about errors over here. Do you know what my error is, folks? I can tell you what my error is. It was not doing the right thing with the thing. Oh, that's the wrong... Am I here? Yeah, so why... Boom. There we go. You like that jump? That's that AV go-to char. So I could do it by line. I could do it, let's do like by word. JJ. Main, A, boom. Go down to that 0 at the bottom. JK. Oh, that's not the 0. JK. D. Go up to that O in line 1. Go up to that O in line 1. Boom. It's pretty quick, but it's anything that you have on the screen there. Okay, you know what, guys? It has been about an hour. I am getting a little bit hungry. I need to go cook a steak with some butter. Probably not butter because it's a nice prime ribeye. Thank you for joining tonight. I hope we all learned some things. We're at 99. Let's look at the number again just for a second. We are at 99 subscribers, really close to that 100. Tell everybody that you love to come and watch the stream, because if you love the stream and they love you and you love them, they're going to love the stream as well. I wish everybody have a good night, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.